Hello everybody, my name is Mr KmK, and today we're going to be doing a breakdown of one of my newer songs that I had released called Colony. We're going to be doing a small little breakdown of it. Let me actually show you guys a little bit. And so without further ado, let's get right into it. Every one of my songs has a very unique intro. They all sound pretty melodic, or they have some type of melody with this. So as you can tell, that this guitar loop is 70 beats per minute, but I raised it up to 150, which is kind of fast. It's faster than than the original beats per minute. So let me actually show you what it sounds like. So with that being said, as you can probably tell, with this part, I actually wanted it to be slower, to kind of build into this arpeggio guitars, which will sound like this. As you can probably tell with that, it sounds pretty arpeggio, almost like the you know the person who's playing the guitar is playing it fast, but actually it's not even like that. And then I layer it on top of that with this. As you can probably tell with that, it's pretty much the same thing. Um, but I mean, like when you have the vocals on top of with this, it sounds very different. It has some really nice build to it. Um, which I enjoy a lot. It's really difficult, especially for um trying to make sure that the vocals themselves aren't being too abrasive and having the guitar being too not too crazy. I think the guitar is this. I have a lot of the mids. Um, I also use a shit ton of soft clipper. The reason that I use soft clipper, and this could be used for anybody. Hold on. Okay, we're still recording. The reason that that I still use soft clipper, or that will continue to use soft clipper, is that soft clipper allows the sounds to sound good, but without them being too loud. Because when you drag in like the audio into the piano roll, it's loud as hell. So soft clipper removes a little bit of that loudness, and makes it moderately loud but still bearable to listen to. And then you can do some EQing from there. Um, Now we can move on to the drums section. I added a low pass filter, so it builds up into the actual intro. So I'm actually going to show you what it sounds like. As you can probably tell with that, it's just a very simple amen style break. Um, and I actually enjoy it a lot because it adds a little bit of more character to the build up. And of course, my actual drop sounds a little bit like this. Um, with those, yeah, with this drums, it has that little break, and it has that silence right here. And so with that silence, it's gonna lead right into the differences of the drums. Of course, with these types of drums, I also added some background effects which sound like this. Hold on. And as you can tell with that, the tension of the white noise building up, um, it adds a little bit more character. Um, and I also have the drums also in this section. I just took a different part of it, because if the greatest thing about these drops that I make is that I only take like certain elements and then I reuse them, but I use them in a different way so that it doesn't sound repetitive. And that's the still the same tension breakup. But I think with this, yeah, with this one, I have it as this. Hold on. Very different. Sorry, I forgot that filter, these drums are in the same, hold on, track 12. Okay. Yeah, they're in the same, they ran through the same mixer. As you can see, I always, again, like I said, I always use soft clipper, or sometimes if I can't really use soft clipper, or like the sound is already at like a very good like level to listen to, I'll just use some equalizer and just go from there. But yeah, that's pretty much my build-ups. Next, we're going to be talking about my actual drops. When it comes to drops are very difficult to maneuver. There's a lot of ins and outs that you have to kind of do. There's a lot of nuances that takes place with these certain drops. So I'm gonna actually show you the drops, and then I'm gonna break them down for you. As you can tell with this drop is very unique. Um, I think where I'm gonna start with is the drums. I'm gonna start with the drums. The drums themselves are not really that interesting. They're very plain. Um, but I mean, I just have a very simple kick and snare pattern. Yeah, so I actually run these to the actually through the same through the same mixer. I have a shit ton of soft clipper. I have it at this level. Equalizer. I also added a little bit of a compressor so that it's not too clippy. On top of the soft clipper, which actually takes away a lot of the clipping noises. Um, I also have this guy, which is just a simple hi-hat. On top of that, when you add the actual kick and snare, it adds a little bit of some differences to it. Of course, I actually added this part into it. This is just a crash pattern that I did to kind of add a little bit more umph to it. So here's what that sounds like. You know, it playing by itself doesn't sound like it would do much. Track 5, as you can see, I have it about lower than about halfway, because with the finger on the where I'm pointing with the mouse, it's about halfway in the actual the mixer that it's in. I also added some soft clipper. And then this type of EQing. Um, and so, but if you add everything together with the drums, the drums sound fantastic together. Next we're gonna be going over the drop. There's a little bit of what's really cool about this is that this is more of the kind of underlying bass that I use. Um, and in EDM we call this layering. So I layered a shit ton of sounds on top of this. Um, so let's actually see what this sounds like. You know, and like I said, when you layer stuff together with it, it's gonna sound like this. You know, and layering is very, very interesting because sometimes if you layer certain sounds, the sounds will kind of work together. And this is just me just like doing it over and over and over. I try different types of layering styles until I find one that really suits what I'm trying to go for. With this bad boy, this is a sub that I used with Respace. Oh shit, I think I should have used Vital. Either way, I enjoy this. So I used just a regular oscillator. I think it's called 3X oscillator from Fruity Loops. What's really interesting about this is that I put it in this around the same key that the song is in, so it's an E. And then I went over here to the mixer. Yeah. So I added a frequency splitter, so I took away a lot of the mids and the highs. Sometimes I'll keep the mids depending on if I want a certain like sound with it. Um, I have the EQ. It's a little bit crazy, but it actually adds a little bit of character. And then I added some soft clipper to make sure that it's not clipping the hell out of your earphones. So here's what it sounds like. I know it sounds really weird, but again, when you layer it all together with the drop, it sounds pretty freaking cool. So I'm gonna move towards the part 2 of the drop, which sounds like this. Um, so one thing that I did add, I started it at the wrong spot, but one thing that I did add, as you can see, I added just a simple One Shot.
Yo, 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 yo.
So one thing that I did add was just vocodics to make it sound kind of robotic. Um, I also added just a little bit of some EQing, soft clipper as well. As you'll probably notice, I love to use soft clipper. Um, and the reason that I use soft clipper, and I don't use it necessarily all the time, and I don't really use it like to its fullest potential, is because I want the raw sound that I want to try to give you. But yeah, that's pretty much all I added for this second part. I also even added the guitar loop, which is pretty nice. But next we're gonna be going into the B section of the drop, which sounds like this. That's a bit loud. However, as you can tell, I have a different drum pattern in the beginning. The drum pattern sounds like this. Hold on, let me make sure that I have it all. Sounds like this. And the reason that I broke it up like that was because of the bass that sounds like this. Um, and as you can tell, the drums just kind of rock right on the actual hits of the bass. Then I added this boy to it. There's a little bit of some there's it adds just kind of more character to the sound. And then I go into this bass. Um, it's kind of robotic in the way that it sounds, which I enjoy a lot. And then, but of course, I also layered it with this. But if we add them both together, it's kind of hard to hear this part, this boy right here. But when but your brain can actually hear it. With this guy, I actually I had to like turn it almost about 75% down with soft clipper added on top of it, so that because the highs are very fucking high, it's almost ear piercing. So I had to really try to make the sound bearable and not just pretty much ear rapey. And of course, it's gonna go straight into the breakdown section, which we're gonna probably get into in a moment. The interesting thing about the breakdown sections of my songs is that sometimes I use silence in a very unique way. Um, and I mean, in this is just not necessarily like for me. This can be used for you. Silence can be used in a very interesting way. It can help build tension for the listener. It can help the song actually get some character with the silence, because silence, there's a lot of things that happens with silence. Your ears can pick out noises that if it wasn't silent, you wouldn't hear it. So here's what it sounds like with just the vocals going. And as you can tell, it has the same buildup as the beginning of the song, but and that's just how I do my style. But as you can tell, with the silence of just the vocals going, it adds a little bit more excitement to it. It's almost like you're fighting an actual fight, and then the silence is like, you know, the break of round one, and you can actually sit back and relax, and then it builds up back to round two. I think with this one though, with this drop, it's a little bit different. So I'm actually gonna just show you what I mean.
Come with the show.
As you can tell, I added a little bit of a vocal. I added some pre-drop vocals, and here's what they sound like.
Come with the show. DJ, come with the show. DJ, DJ, come. DJ, DJ.
With this, sorry about that. I just wanted to kind of show you a little bit of what it looks like. And then I added this guy. It's just a quick psych. I think though I'm gonna have that. Sorry, I really enjoy making music, so if I like start messing around with stuff, it's not because like it's just how my brain wants to do it. Um, oh no, it's yeah. I sorry, I had that X section, and boom, go. So yeah, this is the second drop. Now, what's really interesting about this that I wanted to try to do something different was that I did this crazy kick pattern. So here's what this sounds like. With that in there, I think, and then I layered it with just the hi hats and then the crash cymbals. As you can see with this crash cymbal, it's there's really nothing much going on. But if I layer it on top of the kick, it sounds like this. Sounds very unique, doesn't it? Of course, here's what the actual bass sounds like. I'm gonna do the normal bass, um, and I'm even gonna add this into it so you can kind of see what it sounds like. And as you can tell with just the normal bass and with even the vocal shot, it kind of builds up the more of the tension. Of course, I even layered it with this guy, which I'm going to show you. All it really does is just add more intensity to the pad to the drop. So here's what it actually sounds like. So that is the call, and then the response to that, and I'm gonna explain what a call and a response base sounds like, or what a call and response base is. And what's really interesting about a call and a response base is that the call typically sets the bases, or sets how the rhythm of the bass will go. This is, you know, I set this as the call, and then the response is kind of responding back with the same sort of rhythm, but with different notes playing back to it. And it's a really cool, unique thing because it's kind of a tit for tat thing that happens, and it's very, very interesting, and I really, really enjoy it. And of course, it does it again, but with this one, what's really cool about this one is that um, what I did was that I actually took like the first part of the actual drop, and then what I did was that I detuned it by, like, as you can see at the top left hand, it says minus 580 cents, which is, I think it's like 500, or not like five, I think it's about like 5 to 6 semitones, and that's a lot in terms of pitch. So here's what it actually sounds like. Sounds really cool, doesn't it? It adds a little bit of variety to it. Um, but yeah, let me actually show you the actual drop, because this is sort of like the B section of drop 2. So here's what it sounds like. As you can see with the response base as well, I kind of did the same sort of pattern, because it's responding back, but I did it in a way so that it sounds different still. Now with this final drop, as you can see it, see that it looks like this. It sounds very, very different, and I'm gonna show you why. So yeah, it's very interesting because I mix the first main drop that I did, and then I did sort of the breakdown B section of the first drop as sort of a break in it to kind of add a little bit of some variation, and it's very unique. I actually enjoyed this a lot. Um, but then, and then, we have our outro, which I'm gonna actually explain a little bit in depth. So yeah. So a lot of my outros, they have very crazy ways of ending. I think one song of, I think it's called Rod of God, on my newest big album called Invasion Singularity, um, which is the first song on the album. It ends with just like the melody playing, and there's like, it just abruptly ends. That is one way that you can have it ending. But with this is leading into the outro. So here's what it actually sounds like. And of course, it leads right back into the first guitar part that I used. I did it again at the ending to kind of bring everything back together. Sometimes in a lot of my music, which I'll be doing later, in due time. Um, but with this, I just wanted to kind of bring everything back together with the same guitar that I started with, to kind of bring closure to the song. Um, a lot of my songs are a little bit of storytelling. What I actually wanted to do was to try to like make this a little like even slower, but I realized that if I made it slower, it wouldn't have the same exact effect that it has now. But anyways, I enjoy this a lot. The song took me about, geez, this song took me maybe a week to finish. well, actually, like it took me maybe more than like a week. I was working on it on and off again, so it probably took me about a week and a half. I know for a lot of you guys that seems very fast, but for somebody like me, that's pretty slow. But for me, the slower that I spend on a song, or the most time that I spend on a song, um, the better the song comes out to be. Um, and as you can tell, when I also take my time with a song, the longer it is. I think the longest song I did was probably like 5 minutes and 22 seconds or something, maybe even longer. So you know, the length isn't necessarily what I'm working for. It's mostly the sound of it. But these are just tips that I use. If you guys find my tips useful and you use them in your music production, I would be very happy. But it's not it's you know, this is not necessarily like a workshop. I just wanted to kind of show you guys my workflow and how I do stuff. And if you guys enjoyed it, please give this video a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.